Good day, everybody. This is the Modeling Hermit, and I am coming to you with a rather kind of a fun project this time of a 1960 Chevrolet ElCamino. This would have been AMT, possibly SMP, but I think it's probably AMT on this one. It's really in good shape. It's a rebuilder, but it's generally in really good condition. They've glued on some weird, strange things onto the chassis. These little axle, I'm going to just call them axle holders because, what else can they be? But they've tried to raise this thing up. So they put on these weird, I guess these are supposed to be drag slicks. And then they raised that front, both the front and rear up. Those are just cut off. That's just glued on. That'll come right off. The only thing missing that I can see is the splash pan. The grill will need to be re-chromed. Probably just hit that with monotone, be done with it. The body is amazingly good condition. The door handles, nothing's been shaved off of it, which surprises me. They did add some little thing here. It looks like at one time they probably had fins or something like that added on. Spotlights, who knows. Something they've had added on to the roof at some point or another too. But so this thing here still needs to be pulled off, but generally that's in really good condition. I don't see any name that this would have had. It still has the faintness of the Chevrolet emblem on there. They did shave that, and the back emblem has been shaved. But the detail in here is still there. I had to get some new taillights for it. Good bumper, just needs re-chromed. So this is going to be a project that I'm going to be showing you, that I'm going to be working on, and it's restoring. Look at that bed. That's still not, they haven't done. Well, there's a little something there, I guess, a couple things there, but other than that, this bed is in really good condition. They have not glued a tonneau cover or anything like that on there. The interior you're looking at, as I'm looking at it, really good condition. A couple things glued into here. Those will probably just pop right out. They've painted the seat and part of the steering wheel, and that's all that's painted on that. So this is going to be a project that, there's the ElCamino emblem. It's still there. This is going to be a project that you're going to be following along as I do it. Okay, so we were working on this 1960 Chevrolet ElCamino from AMT. It's a rebuilder. The windows were easy to pop out of there. I was afraid they might break out, but I was able to get those out and left the piece up in the upper section. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I used to glue back in. I'll just build a headliner into that probably. This thing is really good, nice. They had some pieces glued onto the hood and the front fenders, but whatever glue they used just came apart real beautiful. It didn't leave anything on there, any big holes or anything like that. A couple of places where they had antennas or something there, spotlights or something. But other than that, everything came off, just peeled right off. And like I mentioned before, we have the trim on the back and the front has been sanded off. But other than that, all the trim is on it. I've got some 62 Chevy taillights I'll stick into that. I used built a 62 that I did as a custom. So other than that, the body is coming out good. I'm ready to first priming on it. I like to do one priming and then check for, anything that I've missed, anything needs to be sanded out or whatever. The chassis, they had all kinds of weird and exotic things going on that they'd cut all this out, the whole big section in here and the back, and then they glued on extra axles for some reason or another. I guess that they wanted to raise it up. But anyway, I filled that in. Now the big problem that I'm going to have is I got to drill holes in here for the axles to go through at the stock height, and all of those have to be at the same height all the way around. I can't even see straight, let alone drill straight. So we're going to have to see how that one comes out. The chassis has not been molested other than that. Should be able to get that going in no time at all. And so just I've got to fill in. I've got filled in these with some half round pieces, and then I filled this in with flat pieces that I had to shape fit. The interior, well, they got something glued in here that looks like it should come out okay, and then something glued onto the dash here, gauges of some sort. And of course, back then they had that stupid mirror that they decided to put on AMT and SMP and all those. They decided they wanted to put that onto the dash instead of up where it's supposed to be. So I had to take that off and fill that hole. And of course, I have to get rid of this tack here. And the fun part is going to be seeing if I can get this apart without having to break it apart. Well, without breaking it apart. Let's put it that way. It's glued in pretty good because I want to get in here and get this all painted up right and do this like it's supposed to be. So that's about where we're at on this. And we will transfer on with some more work and be back with something more to show you. Well, we've been working on this 1960 Chevy ElCamino, which is based on the Bel Air platform. And the body's really been good for me. I did run a light coat of primer on it just so I could see any imperfections. And there were some scratches along in here where they'd been sanding something or another. And then still a couple of minor imperfections that I had to work on the hood. But other than that, this was really good condition. I did forget about a couple pieces that had been glued in here. I missed those, so I had to touch those up a little bit. But I think at this point, I should be able to go ahead and put primer on it in preparation for paint. Let's go with the tires and wheels next. I've had one pair, just the front axle had the original type tires and wheels on it. But I've gone ahead and made up my own full set for it. And just piecing together different things like dogfish hubcaps and some nice white walls to go on to it. The chassis, this is a real challenge, but I did get everything drilled out, and it does sit level when the axles and tires and wheels are in it. It does sit level. So I was pleased with that. I had to do one of these had to do just a little bit of touch-up work to get it up to where it would fit. But other than that, yeah, everything came out real good on it. So I threw some black paint on that. Sorry about dropping that. The interior, I still have a little bit of touch-up to do on this back. I've done it black and gray, and then a gunmetal gray in this for the bottom of the seat there, in the back of the seat. Other than that, I've done very little else because I couldn't, even doing the water freeze thing and such like that, that dash just was not going to separate off of this thing. It just was determined it was glued in. I don't know what kind of glue they used on that, but that sucker is on there permanently. So with that, I just decided I'd just paint in what I could there, and I'll get some little gauges to go on to those areas and the radio. And I think that's probably about all I'm going to do with that dash for that. And that's primarily where I'm at right now. Like I said, there would be paint go on this. I'm thinking probably a white and black. I'm not completely sure yet. I'll see what I've got for colors that, something will jump out at me. I have not addressed the issues with the chrome on the front and back bumpers and grill. I have not addressed that yet. That's something I've got to do. The windshield, couple minor places. Actually, that's back windshield. It's fine. Couple minor places on this that I probably should address, but these minor things turn out to be a whole complete rework of the whole windshield. So I'm probably just not going to bother with that. I'll probably just leave that the way it is and just call it good enough, because once you start messing around with that glass, you open up a whole can of worms then. So let's leave the worms in the can and we'll just go from there. So yeah, this is a very nice little 60 Chevy ElCamino. Very nice condition. Isn't it interesting how often things in the paint booth change your plans on a model? That happened to me on this one. I sprayed the top white with some Tamiya gloss white. And then I went and sprayed the bottom of it with Tester's graphite gray metallic. After that, I was going to put a gloss coat on this thing. And as I was spraying said gloss coat, I go, what on earth is going on here? And realized that I'd picked up a color change paint instead. That's what happens when you're working on 2 or 3 models at the same time. Anyway, instead of a very utilitarian look, I now have a interesting green thing going on with this that I really kind of like, actually. It's cool. So my thing is, do I put the gray graphite back over this, or do I just leave it? And I think I'm going to leave it. It's really not that far off of stock, I guess. But at the same token, I've got some really cool Pegasus. Let me see if I get... I've got some cool Pegasus wheels here that might just really look fun underneath of that. Since I've got to change the wheels and tires anyway, I might just do something like that with it. So right now we are at a kind of a fun, I can't call it a dilemma. I guess I would have to use Bob Ross's term of a happy little accident. We're going to see which way we go with this. I think I like this better with this green going on in it than I do with the just the straight graphite gray. And I really can't do any more coats of paint on it. I would, if I went with the graphite gray again, I would have to actually put this in the purple pond, and because the detailing on it is so thin, what's left is so thin that I can't really put another coat of paint on that, other than just a final gloss coat over the bare metal foiling when I'm done with that. But that's about as far as I can go with that. So I'm going to leave it in that color, I think. And I may still go ahead with the stock wheels and tires on it. This is the fun part, though. It's when you get to this point right here and things happen and you go, ooh, what next? What am I going to do here now? So we're going to have to just see what we're going to do with it now. And yeah, kind of happy little accident. The interior, I have it done. All I can really do to it, that's very 60s level, skill level for that, I guess, right now. There just wasn't much I could do without being able to get that dash out of there. And I'm not going to take a chance on breaking up the whole interior. When I've been doing this for since 1959, I've been building models and restoring models since the late 70s. And when I get one that I can't even get the dash out of without breaking things, with all the things that I've learned of how to do that, I'm just leaving that one alone, and we'll just let it be. So that's where we're at. We'll see what happens with tires and wheels on this as we go along. After I get it bare metal foiled, we'll kind of decide what's going to happen. I decided to go with the Molotov pen instead of the bare metal foiling. This is all very thin stuff to work with, and that bare metal foil can be a pain in the neck when you're working with real thin stuff. So I just went ahead and I did this line on it here, and the little jet and the jet stream, and the little trim around the roof there. And then this line here, and that's just, well, the door handles, that's about it. The ElCamino thing, I haven't touched that yet. I'm not sure. I may just leave that, actually. That is so thin on there that I'm not sure there's anything I can really do about it. I've got one little line up here that I'm not sure that was actually supposed to be there. I may just leave that body color. I've got to check that with the Google yet. I know that the Impalas had chrome on those. There was like 3 of them on an Impala. But I'm not sure on the Bel Air if it had one or not on it. So I've got to check that yet before I go on with it. Like I said, I got that actually where you can't see it. So anyway, this right here, this line, I've just got to check that out and see what I've got going on with it. Other than that, pretty well, I guess I forgot to do this right here. I'll do that. That's no big deal. And yeah, I've got to do a little Googling, and then we'll find out from then on what direction we're going with this. The 1960 Chevrolet ElCamino pickup is, as far as I'm concerned, completed. I have left the paint job that I had mentioned before that was charcoal gray metallic. It was supposed to have stayed that way. I was going to gloss coat it, and instead I've grabbed up a can of I can't remember the name. It was one of the greenest colors of the color change paints. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, yeah, so I sprayed it with that, and about the time that I was almost done with the car, I go, wait a minute, that's not looking right. So we have an interesting color on this thing. I actually kind of like it. I've left it that way. The white is just Tamiya's white, the top is. I did run just dog dish hubcaps on it, on Steely wheels and white wall tires. The chassis, I did have to rework some of the chassis where it had been cut and added to for some sort of a raised up look. I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that. I used Molotov pen on the bumpers to rechrome those. Didn't get too carried away with that. I also did Molotov pen on all the other chrome trim because it is so thin that it's really hard to even see it still. And I was not going to try bare metal foiling that. That was going to be a real nightmare to work with. That's why I did not put this trim around here either, because that Molotov pen would not really come out well for that wide gap there. The windows, I just left those two. There were a couple little smudges on them. I really should have, reworked those windows, but my problem with that is that's just such a minor problem on those that I just don't want to get into the can of worms thing that you can run into on those problems. I did find 62 Chevrolet taillights that I put in for these taillights. And I think that with that, now we can call this completed. It is the old screw bottom, and it had the original screws with it even, which amazes me. It's not very often you really find a lot of these old screw bottoms that do have all the screws left on them. So that's what we ended up with. It's a very nice looking car. I'm pleased with it. There's some things that, I really wish I could have done with it because it's a bit a rare model. But that's why I just left it this way here. So it was kind of nice because I'm really getting the feeling that I don't think this has been bothered since it was built by the original builder. And it's just kind of that feeling, of going, 60-some years back. And his hands to mine. So, with that, I'm calling this 1960 Chevrolet ElCamino pickup completed. And I thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And be sure to tell your friends and share. So, anyway, this is the Modeling Hermit, and I am off the air and gone.